Hey sis, have you ever dealt with somebody who completely, I mean completely, just changed the atmosphere? Like soon as they walked in the room, the atmosphere shifted. You could just feel the change in the atmosphere. Maybe they was like argumentative, like emotionally just reactive, just pop off, negative, controlling, manipulative, like very critical of everything somebody says, or just emotionally exhausting. And it's like no matter how calm you tried to stay, interacting with them just drained you. Even though you was trying to be in your woosah moment and just stay calm, just interacting with that person or these people just literally took you out as far as like feeling drained. And that's just from the interaction. So now it's like you're wondering, how do I deal with difficult people without losing my peace? I don't want to just go off and snap off, but how do I deal with these difficult people? Because that's important. Because a lot of empathetic people think like healing is like being easily available, like just understanding to the max, or just like constantly just tolerating unhealthy behavior. And so those who are empathetic, and that's me too, I'm like that. Listen, you're on this channel. If you're listening to this message and this resonates, it's because you're empathetic too. Empathetic meaning you have deep empathy for people, you care about people, you don't want to see nobody hurt. You're going to try to go above and beyond for everybody to make sure everybody's comfortable. You look out for people. You ain't going to do anything that's like harmful to nobody, especially not on purpose, because that's not in your character. So we are very caring, loving type of people. But the thing is that sometimes we kind of get sidetracked and think that like healing is like being just available all the time for people, or endlessly understanding, being super understanding. And they expect it too, because you're empathetic. They just drag out the understanding. And then, or also, we could be just like, we tolerate stuff too long sometimes. And so that's not like healing. Like we got to get past that, and we have to have some cutoffs. Now I have some boundaries, but I needed to tighten them up a little bit more. Every time I research something to share with you, it teaches me some more. Like, tighten this up, Belinda. Okay. So because it's not healthy. It's not healthy. What it does is that it creates emotional exhaustion. You literally get emotionally exhausted dealing with difficult people. And so let's talk about, though, why difficult people feel so heavy, or dealing with them feel so heavy. Human beings affect each other emotionally, okay? And so what that means is that your nervous system constantly responds to like the tone, the energy, the stress, the tension, like any emotional unpredictability, and relational safety. And so what happens is that difficult people often, a lot of times, they create emotional instability around them. Okay, they, because they're difficult. And I talked about this in one of the other videos. It's like misery likes company, right? So what they do is they create emotional instability all around them. Okay, it's like that's their hedge. Or you looking at God saying, put this hedge of protection around me. But difficult people, they sometimes will put emotional instability all around them. Okay, and so sometimes what they'll do is they will project their pain outward. I done dealt with that several times. They have this internal pain, but what they do is they project it out on you and other people. The internal pain that they have, they just project it out. And so they avoid accountability, they create chaos, they blame other people. So let's say, for example, like they were wrong on something or they did something, and instead of just sitting in it and being accountable, they'll say, okay, yeah, that happened, but you should have did this, or you dragged this out, or you shouldn't have did that. Or they'll say, they know you'll be right on a certain point or scenario or something like that, and they'll quickly, okay, yeah, but you this or that, or yeah, but this, that. They go into a whole nother scenario, because why? They don't want to be accountable. So I call that doing a 52 fake out. What they do is they just project it, and I call it reverse psychology. Because instead of owning it and sitting in it and just learning from it and healing that part that's hurting, they just blame other people for their issues and their problems and their shortcomings. Yep. Or they pull people into emotional confusion, meaning they'll try to twist things and turn it around, knowing that the sky is blue, but they try to tell you it's red, because they try to twist things and pull you into emotional confusion. And back to like they could have done something and they was loud and wrong. Wrong is two left shoes. But instead of just stopping there saying I'm wrong, no, they go right back to something else that has nothing to do with what they're acknowledging they were wrong about, instead of just sitting in that. And so what happens is, it's like over time, being around that type of energy, it becomes draining, literally draining. You could just feel your shriveling up. Remember, I said you start out as this plump grape. Next time you know you're dealing with difficult people, you feel like a raisin when you after you deal with these people. So that happens over time. Let's talk about, like, I always give examples. Y'all know I love analogies and stuff like that. So it's like being around emotional smoke all day, emotionally. Even if it's not a fire or you're not on fire, the constant exposure still affects your breathing of the smoke, right? There's no fire, but just imagine a room filled with all this smoke. So because you're in there, it's in your hair, it's in your clothes. You go home, it's you smell like smoke. That's kind of how it is with being around difficult people. It's not in you to be like that, but because you've been around them, you feel like, it wears on you emotionally, physically, psychologically. After dealing with it so heavy, it drains you, like your energy. Yeah, all that's affected. And so it feels just like that with that smoke, like it's lingering. And so the thing is that, like, you may not even be causing the chaos. Most of the time, you're not causing this chaos either. You're not. But constant exposure still impacts your nervous system. Even though they are causing all the chaos, you're still affected because you're in it or around it. That's why I don't care who it is. I'm so sorry to say this, but this channel is about the truth. Okay, we are truth tellers on this channel, and why? Because we're healing, right? But I'm just gonna tell you, I don't care who it is, family, friend. I don't care who it is. I don't have friends that drain me. That was like, I'm grateful that I have friends that build me up and I build them up, right? But the thing is that I wouldn't care who it was. If somebody is draining me, I have to distance myself, because your peace is important, because it will linger like that smoke. Next thing you know, you're being a difficult person, or it's rubbing off on you, and people that know you don't even recognize who you are anymore, because that done rubbed off on you. So let's talk about why empathetic people struggle the most. Okay, why do we struggle the most? Okay, I say we because I'm very empathetic and I had to have boundaries and stuff too. If y'all hear all this beating and banging, y'all have to excuse it because all this external stuff. So if you hear that noise, just kind of ignore it, okay? So let's talk about why empathetic people struggle the most. Because empathetic people naturally try to, what do we do? Try to be understanding, try to help people all the time, try to de-escalate problems. Like, can we all just get along? Hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. You know, you run in trying to be superwoman or superman. We try to fix things, we try to fix people that's not ours to fix. We emotionally carry stuff that's not ours. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we end up getting caught up. And so that's why it's important to have those boundaries, because empathetic people care deeply, okay? Deep, deep. And so, but here's the problem with that. Some people are committed to dysfunction. Some people are just committed to dysfunction, okay? While empathetic people are committed to peace. Some people are committed to dysfunction because that's all they know. That's all they know. They don't see the other side of peace and happiness and joy. Love, peace, joy, happiness. They don't see it like that all the time. They may have glimpse of it, but like I said, if they build dysfunction and around them and stuff like that, and other people that are just like always argumentative and stuff like that, they build themselves. Birds of a feather flock together, okay? So some people are committed to dysfunction while empathetic people are committed to peace. That's me. I love peace, and some people get mad when I say, my peace is everything. I heard people before say, your peace, you always talk about your peace, your peace. They don't understand it. See what I'm saying? If you are a peaceful person and you know what that feels like to have joy, peace, just the stillness, and you can hear God talking to you clearly, or even if you're not listening, like if he's not talking to you at the time, just the stillness, just to have peace, internal peace, external peace, it's everything. But everybody hasn't experienced that, because why? Because some people are committed to dysfunction, okay? And so empathetic people who have empathy, that are very caring, nurturing, all that all the time, they are committed to peace most of the time, okay? And those clash, and that's why some people, you ever noticed sometimes people get mad at you for no reason? You ain't nobody that happy all the time, or all right, Miss Perfect or Mr. Perfect. I ain't saying I'm perfect, I just like peace. But they make you feel like it's a problem. So it clashes, okay? And so empathetic people, what happens is often stay too long. Empathetic people stay too long sometimes because they are over explaining, over helping, over tolerating, over sacrificing themselves physically and emotionally, just over too much. And so trying to create peace with people who internally thrive in chaos. Let's talk about, why, what's happening in your body, because all of that other stuff that I just named is like, the empathetic person constantly tries to, have peace with people who internally thrive in chaos, and it just clashes. So let's talk about what happens inside your body though. So when you're around these type of people and you're empathetic and you're just calm, cool, collected, you love peace, this is what happens internally. You have high alertness because you're just like, okay, what they about to do now? They about to go off. You're tiptoeing because you don't want to hear crack, crack, boom, or all this cussing and fussing or complaining. Like you're on high alert. You have emotional tension, Like then you could have like stress activation. Remember the fight or flight, because you're in a constant, like you don't know what they're about to complain about, what they're about to cuss about, the arguments, they got to do this, that, all of that stuff. Then you have, like I said, your stress activated. So now you're stressed out. Now, it starts physiologically hurting you, as far as like you could start having headaches, you could start having like heaviness, not chest pain. Of course, if you have active chest pain, go get checked out to make sure it's not cardiac. But you could have that, stress and the panic attacks, anxiety. It could emotional monitoring around different difficult people, meaning you want to try to check the temperature to see if they about to snap off, or are they nice today, or are they gonna have an attitude, are they gonna wake up start complaining about something, or are they gonna be nice today. You could just be going through all that, especially like if you constantly feel like you need to manage their reactions, prevent conflict, walk on eggshells, or emotionally prepare yourself before you even interact with them. You gotta like get yourself worked up, as far as like, whose side, Lord? You take the wheel, Lord. Let me get in and out of here, Lord. Like, I just don't feel comfortable right now. All of that when you're dealing with difficult people. And then what happens is eventually your body starts carrying the weight of all that stress. Yes. You also, you could start having weight gain. It could impact your sleep and stuff like that. Like all of that. You could withdraw from stuff you normally like to do, your peaceful things, your meditation. Next thing you know, because you done dealt with this difficult person, and remember that smoke now it then got all over you. So now you gotta recalibrate and re-regulate yourself back to what's normal. Yep. So your mind might be saying stuff like, internally, like, why am I so exhausted after dealing with them? Why am I so tired? But your nervous system may be saying stuff like, this environment does not feel emotionally safe. And you might even be telling them, I don't feel safe. But they're looking at it as physically safe, not psychologically safe. So that's important, because your body may be telling you that this environment does not feel safe. And so let's just gently shift into another point, and that's like, this is where like you're healing, and healing for them that changes everything. Because what it does is healing teaches you that, you know what, I can be compassionate without absorbing the chaos. I can be compassionate without absorbing all that chaos. I can stay kind. These are things you might be telling yourself. Or if you're not, these are things you should tell yourself. One, I can be compassionate without absorbing all that chaos. Two, you could tell yourself, I can stay kind without abandoning myself. I, I need to be healed, just chilled. Okay. And so you can also say, I can understand somebody's wounds and their pain and their scars internally without allowing repeated unhealthy behavior into my peace. I understand what you've been through, and I know it's been hard. You had a rough time or what have you, but I can't let it interrupt my peace. It can't come at the cost of my peace. Okay? And so that's wisdom. When you start turning it around to make sure you are healthy. Because again, you got that smoke all on you from all that stuff. Okay? So, because the thing is that understanding why somebody behaves a certain way does not mean you must internally drown to save them. Understanding why they are the way they are should not have you internally and emotionally drowning to save them. It's like jumping in the water You jumping in the water, both of y'all jumping in the water, and let's say nobody could swim. There's one life little that little round tube thing or whatever, or a life jacket. It's one of them. That's like you jumping in the water. Y'all both jumping in. Y'all on the deep end, and you give it to them while you drown. We have to make it make sense, okay? And so, honestly, too, though, it's like some people, to keep it a buck, some people, they won't even heal until they decide to face themselves. Some people, they not even gonna heal until they look internally. You can talk to you blue in the face. You could tell them, hey, this is hurtful, this is that, this is that. I'm not safe. I'm not this. I'm none of that's gonna matter until they internally do the work. And guess what? You cannot do it for them. You can't do it for them. That responsibility cannot be carried by you. They have to want to do the work. Okay? So let them. You know what I mean? I love that let them theory because that book, if y'all haven't gotten that, do I have it in here? Yeah, right here. If y'all haven't gotten this book, listen, get this. If you're watching my channel on YouTube and you're very empathetic and you care all the time and you worry about all kind of people and what their issues, get this book. Let Them, Mel Robbins. Okay? So sometimes, healing looks like letting people be committed to their chaos without joining them emotionally. hmm Let them. They want to be chaotic. Let them without joining them in the chaos, okay? Let them avoid accountability. Let them deflect all they want to. I always tell people, it's your story, tell it how you want to. Let them deflect. Let them avoid accountability. Let them stay reactive and go off and pop off and cuss people out and be disrespectful. As long as they ain't being disrespectful to you, let them. Let them refuse growth. You can't. It's a saying, you could lead the horse to the water, but you can't let them drink. You can't make them drink. You gotta let them. You gotta let them. Okay, but let you protect your peace. Let you protect your peace because not every battle deserves your nervous system being rattled. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm a living witness. It's not worth it. Mm-mm. And even Jesus walked away from certain environments. You know what I'm saying? Even he walked away on his own to do some prayer from certain environments, okay? Even he set boundaries. And so if he's setting them, what you think we supposed to do? Okay? So because protecting your peace is not selfish. I'm telling you, all this, we'll talk about it in another video, but this helping you is helping me too. Because we'll talk about it as they come along in the videos. I feel like this is some healing material, okay? So anyway, protecting your peace is wisdom, okay? God never asked you to absorb constant emotional chaos, to become somebody's emotional punching bag. God, that's not what he wants you to do. And he don't want you either to just lose yourself trying to rescue people who don't want to heal. You have to let them. They don't want to heal. Okay, let them. Let them stay like that. And let you make the decisions that you need to make for your life. Okay? And so if you've been emotionally exhausted dealing with difficult people, please hear and understand this. Like, you're not weak or mean or anything like that for needing your peace, okay? Your nervous system was never designed to live in constant emotional chaos. I can feel it, like when stuff is chaotic. my body, I can feel the dysregulation. So I have to go get regulated. Yeah, like go out inside in my relaxation room, hearing my, water sounds and all that, going to the spot, whatever it takes. Okay? But healing happens when you stop confusing compassion with tolerating what continually drains you. Yep, because protecting your peace matters. And guess what? You matter too. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So if this message helped you, please like and subscribe. And as always, I'm wishing you peace, love, joy, and happiness. All right? Have a great day. Bye.